सनातन रघुजुगो श्री जीव गोपालक वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुगो श्री जीव गोपालक कृष्ण कीर्तन गान कृष्ण कीर्तन गान नर्तन परम प्रेम वीर वीर जन प्रिय प्रिय करो पूजितम श्री चैतन्य कृपा भरौ श्री चैतन्य कृपा भरौ भुवि भुव मारव अंतरक वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुगौ श्री जीव गोपालक विचारणैक निपुणा सद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणां त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरण करो विचारणैक निपुणा सद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणां त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरण विचारणैक निपुणा तद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणां त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरण चैतन्य कृपावरौ लोकानां हितकारिणां त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणं विचारणैकनिपुणं तद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणां त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणाकरं राधा कृष्ण राधा कृष्ण पदारविन्दौ भजनामृतौ राधा कृष्ण पदारविन्दौ भजना नंदेन मत्तालिका वंदे रूप सनातनं रघुजुगौ श्रीजी कृष्ण कीर्तन गान नर्तन परौ प्रेमा मनिधि धीर धीर जनप्रिय निर्माणोदित श्री चैतन्य कृपा भरौ हरा महंत रखौ वंदे रूप सनातनं रघुवीर सुदे सुरे सुतराज्य लक्ष्मी धर्मीश्च आर्जवदस जगदाद रन्ना मंडलस्नी सदा तुच्छब भूत्वा दीनगणे शतो करुणया मंडलपति शनि सदा तुच्छव भूत्वा दीनगणेशको करुणया कौपीन कण्ठास्थितौ गोपी भावरसामृताब्दलहरी गोपी भावरसामृताब्दलहरी कल्लो लमग्नं वन्दे रूप सनातनं रघुजुगौ श्रीजी भगो पालक जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन जमुना तीर बनचारी जमुना तीर बनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यमुना तीर बनचारी यमुना तीर बनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Sri Prabhupada. All glories to our beloved speaker for today, Her Grace VRAJALILA Devi Dasi. I think it's been about 2 months since we had you, but I'm right. It appears like 12 years or more, if I may borrow Lord Chaitanya's statement. But it's so nice to have you back And we may put the verse on the screen and you take it over from here. Hare Krishna. You are muted.
Oh, thank you so much.
Good.
Hari
Hare
Hari,
Krishna.
Hari Bol, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Jai, Jai, Jai.
Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Madhuban, Yashodevi.
Hare
Hari
Krishna,
Bol.
Madam. All glory, all praise, Yalita Sri Madam. Nice seeing you again. After
Nice to
some time.
see. Great to see you, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol. All the wonderful devotees that's on the call. Kavikanapura. Wow, it's been a while. Haven't heard from you. Hare Krishna. Elorim, 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 Haribol, and Yashodev, Hare Krishna. Jai.
I think we have 2 verses to cover today,
Oh, okay. All right.
29 and 30.
Okay. I think 29 does not have a purport, right?
Yes.
Something like, okay. Okay. I am so happy to be here. Yes, it's so wonderful to be back. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchevam Narottamam Devam Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jaya Muhudaya Nasta Prashva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhakti Bhagavati Naishtuke. So we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 19, Text 29. Text 29. Etoto parshadavasya sapadyatav asadgatim punakati payat stanam prapatsyate ha janmabihi. And the synonyms, this is from text 29. Ato, these two, okay, just, yeah, both, to, both. Shadow, personal assistance. Ashya, of the personality of Godhead. Sapat, being, because of being cursed. Yato, have gone. Shat gatim, to take birth in a demoniac family. Puna, again. Katipaihi, a few. Stanam, own birth. Prapat, sete, will get back. Ha, indeed. Janmabibhi, after births. Srila Prabhupada's translation. These two personal assistants of the Supreme Lord, having been cursed, have been destined to take birth in demoniac families. After a few such births, they will return to their own positions. I believe this verse does not have a purport, so we'll go to text number 30, 319:30. Deva Uvacha Namo Namaste Kalya Yagna Tantave Stito Grihita Mala Satwa Murtaye Dishyahatoyam Jagatam Aruntudas Twat Pada Bhaktya Vayam Ishanir Vitaha. And the translation, Devaha, the demigods, little more down. Uchaha said, the demigods are speaking. Namaha, obeisance. Namaha, obeisance. They're offering obeisance twice. Te, unto you, unto the Supreme Lord. Akila yagna tatate, tan tave, the enjoyer of all sacrifices. Krishna is the enjoyer of all sacrifices. Stito, for the purpose of maintaining. Okay, Grihita, assumed, he assumed this form. Amala, pure. Sattva, good. Murtaye, form. Dristya, fortunately. Ataha, slain. Ayam, this. Jagatam, to the worlds, Arun to Daha, causing torment. Twat Pada, to your feet. Bhaktya, with devotion. Vayam, we, Isha, O Lord, near Ritaha, have attained happiness. Srila Prabhupada's translation and his purport. The demigods addressed the Lord. All obeisance unto you. You are the enjoyer of all sacrifices, and you have assumed the form of a boar in pure goodness for the purpose of maintaining the world. Fortunately for us, this demon, who was a torment to the world, has been slain by you, and we too, O Lord, are now at ease in devotion to your lotus feet. The purport, Srila Prabhupada's purport. The material world consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. But the spiritual world is pure goodness. It is said here that the form of the Lord is pure goodness, which means that it is not material. In the material world, there is no pure goodness. In the Bhagavatam, the stage of pure goodness is called Sattvam Vishuddham. Vishuddham means pure. In pure goodness, there is no contamination by the two inferior qualities, namely passion and ignorance. Therefore, the form of the boar in which the Lord appeared is nothing of the material world. There are many other forms of the Lord, but none of them belong to the material qualities. Such forms are non-different from the Vishnu form, and Vishnu is the enjoyer of all sacrifices. The sacrifices which are recommended in the Vedas are meant to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In ignorance only, people try to satisfy many other agents. But the real purpose of life is to satisfy the Supreme Lord Vishnu. All sacrifices are meant to please the Supreme Lord. The living entities who know this perfectly well are called demigods, godly or almost God. Since the living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, it is his duty to serve the Lord and please him. The demigods are all attached to the personality of Godhead, and for their pleasure, the demon, who was a source of trouble to the world, was killed. Purified life is meant to please the Lord, and all sacrifices performed in purified life are called Krishna consciousness. This Krishna consciousness is developed by devotional service, as clearly mentioned here. Om Ganati Mirandasya Gana Gana Shalakaya Jakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Upakadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagachatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarabhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Datana Mostate Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Iti Namine Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Shitatmane Shri Gaura Karna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Swami Iti Namine Hare Hare Krishna devotees, thank you very, very much for allowing me to be on this platform. As I always say, this is one of my most favorite platforms for trying to share anything about Srimad Bhagavatam. So here we are. We're continuing in this wonderful pastime of Lord, firstly of the demon and how the demons are annihilated by the Lord. So today in Srimad Bhagavatam, this most glorious Srimad Bhagavatam, we're continuing with this, with the pastime of Varaha and Hiranyaksha. So I believe this whole, if I'm not mistaken, this whole, even this whole third canto, starting from 17, is starting from chapter 17. We've been talking about the story of Hiranyaksha, and then I believe chapter 18 was about the battle, and and so all of you are very familiar with this pastime. So you've been hearing about this pastime for the last, I'm guessing, at least a month. And this is so beautiful because this pastime has many different instructions for all of us. Throughout the pastime, we can learn so many things about the Supreme Lord, and also learn about how we are in our own world, in our own selves, in the material world, how we are existing with the presence of the Lord. So very important. Firstly, it's important to, one of the things I understood in this pastime is it's important to really believe that Vishnu exists. That's the first thing. Because if we don't really believe Vishnu exists, then this pastime is kind of like a fable or a story or a myth or something that, it's nice to hear about it, especially the battle. We love to hear about the battle. However, it may not be applicable as much in our lives if we don't really believe that Vishnu is Krishna, Vishnu is God. So that's the first realization I got as I was looking back over this pastime. Because this pastime of Lord Varaha and Hiranyaksha, it really exemplifies like how life continues, right? And how we see with Jaya and Vijaya, we see what had happened to them and how they took birth. And so we understand that this life is continuous. It's not just one life that we have. And there's so many reasons, so many things that can happen to why we might get the lives that we do get. And so in the case of Jaya and Vijaya, we understand the story. We've heard the story many times about why they were given demon bodies in their next life, and how now they're trying to resume back to their original status, which is what we're all trying to do, get back in our relationship with the Lord. So as we see in this text, the demigods, they are addressing the Lord. They are offering prayers to the Lord. So I put some light on. And they're starting their prayers with obeisance. And that's really key, right? To bow down. I was listening to a class the other day of Srila Ratnat Maharaj speaking, and he was saying, he was addressing a assembly of devotees for Janmashtami. And at the end of the class, he said, my only reason for coming here to be with all of you for Janmashtami is so that I can bow down and offer obeisance to all of you. So this is the mood, right, of the devotees. This is the mood of the great devotees. They understand that bowing down, to the souls of all of the persons that we're in contact with. So the demigods, they're fully aware of this. They offer obeisance to the Lord before anything, because this is respectful. This is humility. This is the etiquette. This is the culture. This is everything about when we meet someone, especially a great person. In this case, it's the Lord himself, that we offer respects. And the way we do it is we offer obeisance. And so the rest of the as we continue on with this, we see that the demigods as their now after they offer obeisance, now they're going to glorify the Lord. They're going to speak something about the Lord. So that's also an instruction for us after we meet someone. And in cultures in the world today, we see that. You know, somebody will meet us or meet someone and they say, oh, you know, so nice to meet you. How are you? You know, so beautiful to see you, you know, like that. And then they may say something very nice about the person. So this is the culture, right? To acknowledge someone with respect, humility, and then to say something very nice about a person. Actually, there is a principle that because the mind is always crazy, right? The mind always wants to think something not so nice about people when we meet them. However, the principle is to tell the mind, just say 3 positive things about the person before you allow the mind to let those negative thoughts come. At least come up with 3 positive things. So here we see the demigods. They're examples of that. They are showing us, they're teaching us after offering their humility, their respects. Now they're going to glorify the Lord. And so they're saying to the Lord, you are the enjoyer of all sacrifices, right? You, the Lord Vishnu, you're the person. You are the one that is enjoying all the sacrifices that have been made. And you, my dear Lord, you have assumed the form of a boar in pure goodness. And so this is important to know, in pure goodness, for the purpose of maintaining the world. So what we see here in this text is, which is so encouraging, that the devotees, they have no desire other than to please the Lord. That's all. They just, one of the ways that we please the Lord is to glorify the Lord, to speak kind words, speak positive words, speak words that glorify the qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they have nothing else to do, but they have nothing else to do but to please the Lord, only to please the Lord. And we see also in this text that Krishna has no desire other than to please the devotees. So it's reciprocal. This whole relationship between us and the Lord is so reciprocal. It's not that we're the only ones that are offering sacrifices to the Lord and the Lord is not reciprocating. No, Krishna is so much reciprocating with us all the time. So the main important question here, I guess for all of us, is, are we actually genuine devotees, right? So Krishna, we know, reciprocates with the genuine devotees, with the pure devotees. And for those of us that are aspiring, we may not fully believe that, we may not fully understand that. However, if we see the examples, what's that verse that Srila Prabhupada quotes often, Tadvidi paripratena paripashena sevaya upadeshantitegyanam gyananastakadashinaha, that by the example of a pure devotee, if we are submissive and we see that example, then we ourselves will be able to imbibe some of those qualities of those devotees. And so here we can understand that this sentiment of Krishna serving the devotees, Krishna is serving devotees based on the reciprocation of the devotees. So the reciprocation of the devotees is based on the purification of the devotees' desires. So the goal to act to purify our consciousness for Krishna's pleasure, that means wanting nothing for ourselves and serving just as instruments for Krishna's will. I saw today, somehow I went on my WhatsApp, and I always check, you know, every time I go on my WhatsApp, I look at the African site and I see what's being posted. And today, when I went on, I saw His Holiness Kavichandra Maharaj had posted a I guess like a sutra, you know, that I've seen His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, my beloved revered spiritual master, say many, many times, right? that humility means thinking less of oneself. So I saw that Kavi Chandramars there was a poster made of that from Kavi Chandramars, and I thought how wonderful that this understanding, or this sutra, as I called it, is continuing, right? It continues to be shared, and it's being shared by devotees that we appreciate, right? Devotees that are in our parampara, and devotees that appreciate what Bhakti Tirthamara said. So they themselves are repeating those same statements. And I'm knowing Bhakti Tirthamara is also repeating that from Srila Prabhupada. And so like that, we get to keep hearing it over and over and over again, which is really, really beautiful. And so what this means is it requires in our purification process, the purification of our desires requires that we have a basic goal, understanding of wanting to become pure devotees. Of course, that's it's not a journey that we can say, okay, I just want to be a pure devotee and it happens. No, it's a lot of work that's involved. But the point is, whatever it is that we're doing, whatever we're offering to Krishna, Krishna reciprocates. So here, the demigods in their prayers, Krishna is reciprocating. He's reciprocating with them because he actually came to protect them. Because they needed that protection. In this pastime, we know Krishna goes down into the ocean to relieve, to fight with Hiranyaksha, because he, as a demon, had taken the earth planet down to the bottom of the ocean. And of course, that was creating so much disturbances. And Lord Brahma approached him. And in this way, Krishna is reciprocating. So Krishna reciprocates with whatever it is that his devotees are asking him, whatever his devotees are requesting of him, especially if it's something that, as we see in this pastime, that is destroying or causing havoc or tormenting his devotees, or in this case, tormenting the world, the earth planet. And so Krishna, in that mood of protection and maintaining, he reciprocates with the devotees. Now, this reciprocation doesn't come, Krishna doesn't grant us our material desires. Sometimes people say, well, I don't really get Krishna's reciprocation because I've been chanting, I've been, following the principles, I've been doing, service, I've been, everything that is required, right, for a devotee. And they may think that they're not receiving Krishna's reciprocation. However, Krishna says he doesn't really grant our material desires, whatever we may want materially. That's under the modes of material nature, right? That's under Krishna's external energy. So Krishna doesn't really he doesn't pay any attention really to what what material desires we may be having. However, what he provides is what we need for our spiritual growth. And so sometimes, which is why Bhakti Tirthamara says, in why bad things happen to good people, sometimes is because Krishna is reciprocating with those bad things to help those persons to become more spiritual. So we often don't think like that. We often think, I'm a good person, good things are supposed to happen to me. The way God reciprocates is by doing good, giving me everything I want, making things wonderful, and not creating disturbances in my life. However, it's the opposite. When Krishna is calling us, or when Krishna is reciprocating with us, sometimes that means we're going to struggle with material energy. Sometimes that means we're going to come face to face with those things in material energy that will create disturbances in our lives, so that we can develop more of devotion to Krishna, or we can become more aware that there is some bigger force other than ourselves that we may need to turn to. And so this is the mood of Krishna's reciprocation. It also requires heartfelt devotion. It requires that, Krishna, he's not so pleased. This verse is talking about sacrifices. And so Krishna isn't that pleased with our material offerings. Sometimes we think like that. I have so much money. I'm going to build a big house. I'm going to, and I'm going to get the best car, whatever. And, but I'm going to offer it to Krishna, In the meantime, that maybe that is something that we're thinking to offer to Krishna, but more importantly, we're doing it because of ourselves. And so it's a fine line, right? To think we're doing something for Krishna. So Krishna, he's very detailed, just like how he comes in this pastime with to fight with Varaha. I believe it's like 1,000 years or something. He fights very detailed in how he get rid of the demons. It takes time, and so for some of the demons, it takes time. But Krishna wants our sincere love, right? He doesn't care, like all the different things we may be able to offer to him. He says, I just want your love. I just want your devotion, right? And most importantly, Anyabilasita Sunyam, I want your pure love. I want your pure devotion. That's really what I want. And so, Krishna accepts just anything, a flower, a fruit. He explains that in Bhagavad Gita, that whatever you offer to me, I will accept, but offer it with love, right? Not that I want all the big, wonderful material things that you may have. That's nice. And that you achieve that because of certainly of your karma of having done some positive things. However, what I really want from you is he wants from us, from me, is that pure love. And that devotion, that offering to Krishna, it's important to surrender it with joy, to give to Krishna. We surrender to Krishna, being happy. We can only be happy surrendering to Krishna if we really believe that, in this case, Lord Vishnu is God. If we don't believe Lord Vishnu is God, it's very hard to be joyful in our surrender, very hard to make sacrifices. Offer sacrifices and be joyful about those sacrifices. So when a person works for Krishna's pleasure, like Govinda, he's working for Krishna's pleasure, he's driving for Krishna's pleasure, then automatically it satisfies our senses, right? Because the senses are always going crazy and always wanting more and more and more and more. However, if we understand whatever I'm doing, dear Lord, this is an offering for you. And somehow, whatever the results are from whatever I'm doing, I'm going to make that offering to you. It may not be pure. It may still have our desires that needs to be purified. However, if we have at least just a glimpse of that understanding, then Krishna will help us. What does Krishna say? I am the source of remembrance and forgetfulness. So Krishna will help us to remember, right? So this is the nature of the loving exchanges that we talk about, right? We have the nectar of instruction gives us all these different levels of how we can exchange and love. And so this is described for a devotee that we offer this mood of joyful surrender, which means that we're making all the sacrifices we're making to Krishna, whatever it is we're doing, whatever we're offering it with love, with joy, with sincerity. Because the ultimate purpose that we understand is the goal. What is the goal ultimately? The goal is to serve. That's the goal, is to serve Krishna. Just like Arjuna did, or even in this purport, this text of demigods. The demigods they are servants of Krishna. They understand that. They know that. They are having now some challenges in their life. They turn to Krishna, and they turn. In this case, we say we understand that this is Lord Vishnu. And when they turn to Lord Vishnu, they come to Lord Vishnu in prayer when they're having some catastrophe or some disaster that's happening in their life. And we understand how then they prioritize, what Krishna wants. They prioritize the Lord's desire above all. So above all of everything. And so this is what's happening with the demigods in this pastime. There's reciprocation between them and Krishna. That's the beginning. And first they offer obeisance, then there's this reciprocation of glorifying him, about how he's the one that accepts all sacrifices. And we hear this in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. I believe it's text 24. It says, Aham hi sarva yagya bhoktacha prabhur evacha. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. That's what Krishna says. So Krishna himself is explaining that to Arjuna. I am the master. I am the enjoyer. No one can really, you can make so many different sacrifices and you may think it's for your enjoyment. And I'm saying you, meaning me, we, all of us, right? However, those sacrifices, the enjoy of those sacrifices, whatever we do, is meant for Krishna. Krishna says that all the rituals, all the offerings, all the acts that we do that are devotional, ultimately they come to him, to the Supreme Lord. And if we don't recognize this, if we don't realize that everything that we're doing is for the pleasure of the Lord, is for pleasing the Lord, then we certainly won't reach the goal. And I think many devotees have already accepted that, I don't think I can reach the goal. Many devotees might think like that. However, Krishna is so kind and so merciful, that we see even when he kills a demon, he liberates them. So what to speak of someone that's aspiring to be a devotee? In the Bhagavad Gita, again, in the 3rd chapter of the third chapter, the 9th verse, yes, we can understand more about sacrifices. So here in this chapter, it's explained in this text, Bhagavad Gita 3:9, that purified life is meant to please Krishna. Again, we're hearing this over and over again. Once our desires are purified, those desires are meant to please Krishna. And all the sacrifices that we perform is purified. Everything we do, if we have that consciousness that we're doing this to please Krishna. This is called Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada explains that. This is Krishna consciousness, that everything I'm offering, everything I'm doing in my life, so how Dave is doing these classes every day, come home from work. I say this often, tired, need to sleep, haven't slept, worked all night. Doing it for Krishna. I'm doing this for Krishna. Ultimately, we want to please our spiritual master who's doing it for Krishna. And so if we keep that consciousness every single day in everything that we do, I'm doing this for Krishna, whatever it is that we're doing, then that keeps us properly situated. So sacrifices means purification. It means purification of our actions, because our actions are to be offered to Krishna. Right? That's what a sacrifice means. And it also means that our karma can start becoming more sacred. We start getting free from the bondage of conditioned life when we make sacrifices. We have then also, we start developing intention, right? Because our intention matters. We start developing intentions that mold us to understanding that we want freedom from the reactions of past karma or this karma. So we live our lives in ways that we understand, okay, I'm gonna do this thing, whatever it is, I'm acting on behalf of Krishna because my intention is to become free from material life. My intention is to come free from contaminated consciousness, conditioned consciousness. What does that do? It gives us inner purity, right? We start growing spiritually. And all of us have experienced that as we chant, as we hear, as we serve, we start realizing that these whatever offerings we're making, they become more a part of our consciousness. They become more a part of who we really are. And ultimately, what do we get from this? Eternal life. That's what we're guaranteed. Eternal life, life in the spiritual world. I had a dream last night. I had a dream of my spiritual master last night, which was really wonderful. And because I haven't seen him in a bit, and he used to come quite often, and he came last night, this morning, actually early morning, and there was a devotee that was trying to see him, devotee coming to see him. I saw the devotee, and I was like, "Oh, Lalita!" And actually, Lalita left her body a couple of months ago, and so I was like, "Oh wow!" And she looked so wonderful, so beautiful. I was like, "Lalita, you're looking so wonderful." And she says, "Yeah, I'm gonna go see Gurudev." And I was like, "Oh, so nice." And I was thinking, Krishna, I woke up like, oh my God, she's dead. She's not here. But this, it's kind of reminding us that these sacrifices, whatever we do, it's not gone for nothing. It's not like we're doing it for nothing. She used to serve like anything, our spiritual master, in terms of she was taking care of his deities. And she was so sincere in how she would dress his deities. And so when that dream came, I was just like, wow, she's doing well. It was so nice. I also felt some relief because she had a program and I wasn't able to go. I think I wasn't here or something. I think I was in India. Anyway, the point I'm making here is whatever we do, if we do it in that consciousness, I'm doing this for you, Krishna. This is for you. It may not be fully purified. We will get the benefit of that, which is eternal life. That's guaranteed, right? And so, yeah, sometimes we see the reason Prabhupada puts this statement in this verse about demigods, because we see sometimes there are people that are worshiping the demigods, right? They worship the demigods for like temporary material benefits. We see this a lot in India. I lived in India for many years, over a 20-year period, lived there for months at a time, months and months. And so there are many people that really believe in, that they must serve the demigods, right? Because they think that by serving the demigods that they get some benefits, or they get afraid. I remember being in one country in, I think it was Zambia, as we were traveling in West Africa preaching. We were opening a preaching center, and we were supported a lot by the Gujarati devotees there. And I remember once they invited us to, I think I told this story before, they invited us to their home, this Gujarati family that was financially supporting us for lunch. So we came, and the grandma, she wanted us to come in and see their altar. And because they're very devotional, actually, the devotees from Gujarat, very devotional. And the grandma, she was the one that did all the puja in the home. So she asked us to come and take darshan of the deities. So I was pretty shocked because I know they're really into Krishna. They love Krishna, And I was so shocked because they had everybody on the altar. Every deity you can think, every demigod you could think about was on their altar. And I was so later I asked the daughter who knew a little bit about Krishna consciousness. I asked her, why does she have so many, why is there so many demigods? And she says, well, she knows that Krishna is the supreme Lord, the supreme God. She knows that, but she's afraid because she don't want to displease the demigods, right? So Prabhupada puts this in this purport, in this I'm still speaking about the translation. Actually, he puts this in the translation because he wants us to know that the demigods are praying to Krishna. The demigods are thanking Krishna for only he can destroy this demon. No one else could destroy this demon. Brahma couldn't do it. Indra couldn't do it. They all went in hiding. So Prabhupada is reinforcing that understanding. You don't have to worship the demigods because the demigods themselves are worshiping Krishna. So that's pretty important. And when we understand sacrifice, because to understand sacrifice, we must understand that Krishna is the only receiver. He is the real receiver. He's the true receiver. Because Krishna says, everything that's offered to me, as I said earlier, comes to me. Everything that you do, it reaches me at some point, because he's the ultimate beneficiary. So because he's the supreme soul, right? Krishna is encompassing presence. He's everywhere in everyone. So even if we try to say, well, Krishna is far away in Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna doesn't always, sometimes we could think like that. Krishna doesn't, I can do this, Krishna doesn't know. No, Krishna knows because he's in our hearts as Paramatma. He's there. He's seeing us. He's all encompassing presence. We, no one can get away from it. Not the animals, not us, nobody. That presence is always there because he's reminding us, what is the purpose of this yagya that we do? What is the purpose of it? And if we can understand Krishna is everywhere, then we remember that everything that we do, all the sacrifices we do, is ultimately meant for the Lord. The Lord in the heart, the Lord in Goloka, the Lord in Vaikuntha, it's meant for the Lord. And we can say, well, people, maybe some people are not aware of this. Well, there's a danger in ignorance, very much a danger in ignorance. And so those who don't understand this, that the worship is only meant for Krishna and not for other deities, that those persons, they fall back into the cycle of birth and death. Samsara, right? That's what happens for those that are worshiping the demigods. So ultimately, it's important for us as devotees, to emphasize these teachings. And that's the reason why here, in this text, in this translation, you are the enjoyer of all sacrifices. That's an important part of the prayer. They wouldn't have said that, the demigods, if that wasn't important. Now they're going to say, you assume the form of a boar in pure goodness. What does that mean? Okay, we understand Krishna's external energy is manifested in the modes of material nature: passion, ignorance, and goodness. But Krishna is above the three modes of material nature. And so here Prabhupada explains in the purport, he's this mode of this goodness is, he explains it as sattva vishuddham. Sattva vishuddham. It means it's transcendental. It has nothing to do. Krishna has nothing to do with the modes of material nature. I mean, yes, everything ultimately comes from Krishna, but Krishna creates the material energy, and then we interact within the material energy, and Krishna then, is separate from the material energy. And so this is important, because sometimes we say, oh, Krishna, this happened to me, or why did you let this happen to me? No, we let it happen to us, whatever it is. Sometimes some things happen that might not be very comfortable for our existence in this material world. And we sometimes want to put the blame on Krishna. And Krishna says, no, the blame is really on you, and as you interact with the material energy, because this is a part of your unpurified desires. And so therefore, don't put that, try to understand, that I am aloof from the material energy. Yes, I by my will, everything is created. However, I am aloof from it. And so then this part, that for the purpose of maintaining the world. And so now they're going to thank him, they're going to be grateful, because the demons torment the world. And so he says, you have slain the demons. You have killed all the demons. You have killed this demon, right? Hiranyaksha, because this demon was tormenting, and he was tormenting everyone, all the demigods, by him taking the planet, by taking the Earth planet onto the bottom of the ocean. And then wanting to fight, right? After he did that, he wanted to fight. This is a real demon. He's a part of this pastime, if I remember correctly, is when he was down there, he was looking for somebody to fight with. Then he found Varuna, I think. I think he found Varuna. And then Varuna, he knew he couldn't really, he couldn't beat this demon, This demon is very powerful. He's Hiranyakashipu's brother, and they got all this benediction. So he's like, Varuna is like, he's very smart. He said, well, I don't think I'm too old now to fight. So, but I know somebody that you can fight with. And then he recommended Vishnu, right, for Hiranyaksha to fight with. And so, of course, now we know, yeah, the demigods, they are very, very smart. They know who's the boss. They know who's in control. They're not in any way somehow thinking like, they sometimes think like that. Interest sometimes think like that. I am the controller, I'm the boss, but quickly he gets kind of, he gets some help. He gets help from Krishna to understand that no, you're not. So in this case, Varuna's like, I can't really, I have somebody that can fight with you, and so that's how that fight started with Hiranyaksha and Vishnu, and that fight was for a purpose, and the purpose was to protect, the demigods, protect the Earth planet. So this is Krishna's mood, is to protect the devotees, to care for the devotees. And so I was thinking about like, how relevant is this, to us? Well, what is, this pastime, right? It's wonderful. There's some instructions, but how practical day to day, what does this mean? So why do we want to please Krishna? What are some of the reasons that we want to please Krishna? Why do we want to please God? Well, practically, realistically, there's so many things that are happening in this world that we have no control over, that affects us on a daily basis. And if we're not aware of someone higher than ourselves, bigger than ourselves, if we're not aware of some source that's greater than us, well, whatever we call that source, then we will become stupefied in this material world. And so I thought I would share with you some of the reasons why devotees want to please Krishna. So in 2025 to 2026, this world that we live in, this planet, it faced so many severe humanitarian crises. So some of those humanitarian crises, I'll just name you a few. As I was reading through this, I was just like, wow, there's so many things that's going on in the world that we don't think about, because sometimes we're in our small little corner of things, and sometimes we don't take the time to, I also don't take the time to expand into, oh man, what's, Hiranyaksha, he took this whole earth underwater, but you know what? In a lot of ways, we're doing some of the same things. So, so in Haiti, for those of you that don't know Haiti, it's kind of like an island that's off the coast of America. And in Haiti, this is just some stats, just to help us to think about some things in the world. The gang violence has forced over 1.4 million people to flee their homes, with over half the population facing crisis of hunger as of the late 2025. In Sudan and Gaza, the famine condition reemerged in 2025 due to conflict with Sudan, Gaza, and South Sudan, experiencing catastrophic food insecurity. In Ukraine, the conflict continues to cause massive displacement, with estimated 10.8 million people requiring assistance entering 2026. In Ethiopia, the renewed conflict threats in 2025 displaced over 288,000 people in Oromia, with further risk of violence, hunger, and flooding in 2026. In Afghanistan, 2025 saw high death tolls from earthquakes, including a 7.7 magnitude quake. And there was 2,200 deaths in Afghanistan. So basically, all this is environmental stuff that's being created by human beings, And so it's not that. So yes, this happened with Hiranyaksha, and this is definitely something that we want to pay attention to in this report. But we want to understand how this is affecting us in the world today. There's another stat that I pulled up that I thought, oh my gosh, Krishna, this is so amazing how all these things are happening, right? So there are heat waves that are that have killed 2,400,000 people in one part of the world. There's storms and floods, right, that are destroying by tropical cyclones, so many things like this. Even in India and Pakistan, 2,200 people come by. There's fires, right? There's the migration tragedies, which is nearly 8,000 people died or they were disappointed in 2025 because they had no place to go. They're trying to migrate to someplace. And then there is this one more thing I wanted to share about all of these catastrophes that are happening in the world that we don't think about them, right? There is okay. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to find it because I had to pull it up to share with you all. Overconsumption and resource depletion, biodiversity loss, nuclear warfare threat, and ocean acidification. So these are some basic things that are being created that can destroy this planet. And this is happening because of people tormenting the Earth planet. So basically, I wanted to share that this is happening, and we want to know, like, why is this pastime relevant? Why is it relevant? It's relevant because these things are happening even today on Earth in a different way. It appears to be different. However, the impact is just the same. People are tormented and people are dying. And so Prabhupada then went on to speak about that Krishna, he kills, right? He has killed all, he's killed this, he killed the demon. He killed that demon, Hiranyaksha. And he's in the text it says, fortunately, you have slain the demon, the demigods are saying in their prayer. You have slain the demon who was such a torment to the worlds. And so, oh, Madhupanlila, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, so here, fortunately, the demigods are saying, you killed this demon. So if we believe that that Vishnu is God, if we believe that Krishna is God, if we can close our eyes and, say to anyone, Vishnu is God, Krishna is the Lord, and we can believe that within our hearts, then we can understand that our desires, our conditioned desires have become purified. If for some reason we still might have some doubts about whether or not Krishna is God, that Vishnu is God, Vishnu is, of course, as we all know, is Krishna. If we doubt that, then it's important to know some of the other demons that Krishna killed, right? So as Vishnu, Krishna killed Hiranyaksha, this demon now. He killed Ravana. He killed Narakasura. He killed Putana. He killed Agasura. He killed Kalamani. He killed Bakasura. He killed Hiranyakashipu. He killed Madhu and Kaitaba. So it's really, we may find this like mythology in some ways, but we can always check, right? We can always okay, I can think this sounds really weird. It sounds different. It sounds like, is this possible? But then when we hear about all these other demons that he killed, then it helped to minimize our doubts. And so to be able to read Srimad Bhagavatam is so important. To be able to learn about Krishna and Krishna's activities are so very important. And that's why the demigods are praying to the Lord. You have slain this demon who has tormented the world. And then in the last part of this purport, this text, not the purport, Prabhupada mentions in the purport about mode of goodness, and he's actually, Prabhupada is trying to help us, to understand what this, why the demigods are praying to the Lord. And here, the last part of this, in this text, Prabhupada is helping us to understand about the lotus feet of the Lord. It says, now that the demons are slain, the demigods are now at ease in devotion to his lotus feet. So how many times we have experienced this ease ourselves when we know that some catastrophic situation is not happening anymore in our lives? How many times, because we've taken shelter of Krishna and we understand, okay, these things that appear to be disastrous, they're not, they don't bring as much fear because I've taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. And so this is what the demigods are saying. They're expressing their deep devotion to Lord Varaha's lotus feet by the surrender that they have, by prayer, by the appreciation of his protective powers. So that's the example that we're taught by the demigods, in terms of how we remove some of the doubts in our consciousness, is to be more appreciative of this amazing power that the Lord has, and the amazing power that he exhibits by killing these demons. So the demigods, they recognize the Lord's feet as a supreme refuge, as their supreme refuge, because the Lord's feet destroy fear, and the Lord's feet gives us shelter. And of course, in this pastime, the Vishnu was restoring Lord Varaha balance to the earth, right? And so there's a prayer of the demigods, and this is from the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. They says, O lotus-eyed Lord, by concentrating one's meditation on your lotus feet, which are the reservoir of all existence, and by accepting those lotus feet as the boat by which to cross the ocean of nescience, one follows in the footsteps of Mahajans, great saints, sages, and devotees. By this simple process, one can cross the ocean of nescience as easily as one steps over the hoofprint of a calf. So this is one of the prayers that the demigods offered by appreciating Krishna's lotus feet. Krishna's lotus feet gives us full protection. Krishna's lotus feet gives us divine shelter. Krishna's lotus feet helps us to become more appreciative of Krishna, of who Krishna is, the strength Krishna has. Krishna's lotus feet, and helps us to engage in devotional service when we understand the shelter that we receive from his feet. Krishna's lotus feet helps us to become more purified. And so the demigods are fully aware of this. And so they're appreciating the Lord for doing this ultimate seva of protecting the demigods from this amazing demon. And so similarly here on this earth planet, we have catastrophic situations that are destroying the world. And as the devotees take shelter of the Lord devotees, the Lord's servants, and as they are aware, to the degree that they're aware of the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, and they take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, then the devotees, they don't have to have fear about the demons that are even within us, ourselves, or the demons that are externally destroying this planet, because inevitably that is to happen anyway. Planet will be destroyed. However, in our own lives, we're seeing it. We're seeing the destruction of the planet, and so, however, we're not afraid. Like the demigods, we're not afraid because we know Krishna is there. Krishna will protect us. Okay, my dear friends, that's what I have. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Well, it's so beautiful to have your association and your wisdom every single time. Dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, reflections, realizations, you may want to ask or share. As usual, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask your question or share your reflections. Hare Krishna. Madhava Prabhu, yes, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna, Mother.
Hare Bol, Prabhuji.
All grace to your little feet, all grace to the little feet of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna Prabhupada also. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for a wonderful lecture. I so much appreciate it. And you made so much some technical tips or pronouncements. When you mentioned that Krishna is not does not really is not interested in our material desires, especially when we pray to him. From experience also, we've seen many devotees who comes to the temple for material desires. They pray, they went through severe austerity, and at the end of the day, when you get the material desire, let's say wealth, money, even though their promise was that if they have the money or the wealth, they will build a wonderful temple, build wonderful services. But at the end of the day, it doesn't turn out to be like that. Most of them, they don't come to temple again. Instead, they start seeing faults in the movement. They start seeing even on their spiritual master also. So, and many of them will tend to go to, that's the reason why many people go to worship demigods. So that's my own observation. I don't know if you have anything to your comment about that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Bol. Thank you so much. You're very clear today, Madhavan. I understood everything you said. So nice. I mean, I always understand. Sometimes your internet is not clear. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is why in this verse there's a point about purified desires, right? Because we all have desires. We all come from conditioned life, and yes, the material world is the three modes, and most of us are conditioned by the mode of passion. And we're trying to elevate by hearing from those persons that are elevated. We're trying to come to the mode of goodness, which is not so easy, really. And so, yes, there are devotees that come in the mode of passion, and they have desires, still may have some material desires. And yes, as you nicely said, they may come and they may really be absorbed in devotional service for some time and then realize, that they still want to fulfill their material desires. And so that's because material nature gives us what we want, then we may receive that from material nature, mainly because we did those services that we did do for Krishna. However, the beautiful thing about Krishna consciousness that inspires me so much and encourages me so much, Madhava, is that Krishna, he doesn't he doesn't fulfill our material desires. At the same time, he doesn't even see our material desires because he's only seeing our souls. He's only seeing what we did do in service to please him. So whatever devotional service we may have done, that's what Krishna saw. And whatever service we may not be doing anymore, however we've minimized that service to Krishna, however we have allowed the mode of passion to overcome us, that's based on the modes. That's based on Krishna's external energy. And of course, that's our choice, right? We set up that choice for ourselves. The main thing that I've learned as a devotee over the years, and I always pray, that somehow or other I can be an example of this myself. I pray to be this example, that I can see everyone as a servant of Krishna, and that as servants of Krishna, everyone is serving on a different level, right? They're affected by the modes in different ways. At the same time, that person is glorious because they came to devotional service. They came to offer service. And so as opposed to, as I was sharing, as opposed to focusing on what they didn't do, I try to focus on what they did do. Because conditioned life is Krishna says it takes one out of thousands to really be able to really understand him. So it's not so easy, to even come to the mode of goodness. What to speak of sattva guna, go to the mode of transcendence, to be transcendental. So yes, that's a wonderful observation. And it happens, and devotees do take shelter sometimes in their material desires. And they sometimes use that as a frame to hide and say, this is Krishna consciousness, what they're doing. This is a fact. People do that. However, if I speak for myself, I try to see that, understand that, and see how I can be compassionate in those situations. Because Krishna is compassionate. Krishna is a loving God. He's not trying to rebuke anyone. Of course, there's rectification, and people will get their own rectification. Krishna will arrange. Somehow that will be arranged by material energy. Material energy, she's rough. Maya's rough. She doesn't play. So, she'll make arrangements for persons that may want to cheat. She'll make arrangements. However, because of Krishna's love, that person will always get another chance. Always get another chance. And that's the beauty of Krishna consciousness. That's bhakti. That's how bhakti is different from so many other traditions. God is pure love. Pure love. And the inspiration to become a bhakta is to start developing that mood of pure love. It's not easy. Not easy at all. I pray. Thank you, Madhava Prabhu. Madhuvan. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hamsadvita Prabhu, you may unmute.
My son, Haribol. This is my spiritual son here, Hamsadvita. How are you?
Yes, please
How's
kindly
your
accept my
papa?
personal obeisances. All glory to the Swami of Tita Maharaj, all glory to Jagaguru Sri Prabhupada, and all glory to you. I'm so happy to see your lotus face. I'm so nervous that I don't want to put the camera on. So
Okay.
I'll put it
Hold on to
afterwards.
your beads. Just hold on to your beads. They'll
Yes,
make you peaceful and calm.
I have a question, and I have, when we are talking, I'm beginning to have this kind of inspiration, and as you are saying something about Grace Ade Prabhu, it's so amazing. Sometimes I think how he'll be able to do all this after standing the whole night and always be here. Since I was in Europe, constantly he's been here always and always. And sometimes I'm beginning to wonder how the energy he has. And it's so amazing. And the one thing you shared about sometimes we have this fear that if we are be able to make it. So sometimes I also feel the same thing, and I ask myself, am I going to be able to make it? Because we are in this Kali Yoga and we make a lot of offenses. Some of them we don't want to, and some of them we do it. And as you are saying, that Krishna love us so much that even if we give Krishna flour or water, he accepts it. We have to do it out of love. And I would say I feel so fortunate that to have association with these wonderful devotees. And sometimes I ask myself, what did I do to have this mercy? I think like 2 months ago, I have this dream, and His Holiness Bhaktita Swami Maharaj, and I was with Salika Prabhu, and he came and called me and said, Sadut, I want you to sit here and serve Gurudev. And I came and sit there, and before I know, we are walking, the three of us, and Gurudev turned and looked at me. You have Sadhuta Prabhu, right? I say, yes, Gurudev. And we are going to somebody has given birth, and we are going to the naming ceremony. So when I wake up, I shared this dream with the guest Sarifat Prabhu, and he said something to me. And this few days ago, I was with Grace Govinda Prabhu, and I've been with him so many times, but he was talking, and it was so amazing. When we came home, me and my wife, we keep talking about this. Oh, the nectar was so sweet. We didn't want him to stop. And I received this message from His Holiness Bhaktita Swami Maharaj, from somebody who sent me this, and he said that I am a celibacy, and therefore I do not engage in sex life. Frequently, souls who have or seek connection with me appear in a family of my disciples so that I can take care of them. And I'm beginning to feel so happy in my heart that no matter how it is, I'm not alone. No matter how difficult it is, I'm not alone. I'm beginning to understand a lot of things, even if I forget myself. So I want to thank all of you and Mother being there for me always, and His Grace Ade Prabhu, His Grace Govinda, His Grace Hari Chakra, all of them, the mothers. It's so amazing and fortunate to be part of this family. So thank you so much for seeing your face today, Mother. It really inspires me. And here comes my question. I hear Srila Prabhupada, I can't find the class again, and he was saying that Krishna did not move from, I think, Goloka or Vrindavan. All of them who came is his expansion, but not himself. And he beginning to mention Sankesa, I don't remember the names, to Gaya Vishnu, Mahavishnu, and all that. So my question is that the Lila of Krishna, when he was little, it is said that he came with his spiritual body to this material world. So I was beginning to confuse about that. If Krishna did not move, he is always there. So all this is Lila himself as a little boy and all that. Is it his expansion or himself? Because I'm confused about that. So if you can help me to understand it, please. Hare Krishna.
Wow, I can see you're reading. That's beautiful. It's such a beautiful question. Firstly, I want to appreciate how you appreciate the devotees. Srimati Radharani says that a person gets 3,000 times more benefit when they appreciate one of the other devotees. And so, yeah, that's special mercy that you're receiving to even be able to ask the question you ask, because the question is very intricate in one sense. So yes, Krishna never leaves Goloka Vrindavan, and Krishna expands into 3 different Vishnus for 3 different purposes: Karanadakshay Vishnu, Kishiradakshay Vishnu, and Garbhodakshay Vishnu. These different Vishnus act on his behalf to do many different things. which are very detailed, and I won't go into that. And Krishna takes birth, yes, in Vrindavan, which is actually considered the spiritual world. So even though it appears that Bhuma Vrindavan is here on this planet, that is Krishna's mercy for us to be able to visually have some understanding of his activities. However, Bhuma Vrindavan is really, it's here, but it's not here. Achinta Beta Beta Tattva, simultaneously one and different. It's here, but it's really the spiritual world. So Prabhupada often says, don't go to Vrindavan with your conditioned material desires and see things materially. He actually tells devotees, if you're going to go to Vrindavan, stay 3 days, not longer than 3 days, because after 3 days, our material conditioning kicks in, our conditioned state of consciousness kicks in, and then we start seeing everything material, right? So he doesn't recommend staying in Vrindavan until we have more purified consciousness. However, Vrindavan is very much the spiritual world. So Krishna, he came in order to share his pastimes and teach all of us who he is as a person. I heard recently, now when we read Bhagavatam, we're not reading Srimad Bhagavatam to necessarily learn, although we do learn. We're reading Bhagavatam so that we can associate with Krishna. We can connect with Krishna. So simultaneously, when Krishna appears, he appears so we can connect with him more deeply. We can hear more about his pastimes. It can become more real because he can't teach us so much in Goloka, right? He can. However, we got to be super duper purified. So he comes here to make it a little more real for us. But when he's here, he's not here. And it's a little difficult to understand. I'm just reading now about the 11th canto. It's not so easy to understand in some ways. However, with purified consciousness, it becomes very easy to understand. I don't have that, so I can't express that to you. However, there are devotees that have that purified consciousness, that they fully are able to understand the spiritual qualities of Vrindavan as we understand it here. All I know is I love to go there because when I'm there, all I can hear is Radhe, 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 and that brings me closer to understanding some things about Krishna. But it's a beautiful question, and the fact that you're reading Prabhu is just very wonderful. And if you keep chanting and if you keep hearing, Krishna will reveal in your own heart the answers to these questions, because he reveals himself. He's there within you, and he will reveal it within you. However, it does require purified consciousness. I hope that's helpful.
Yes, Mother, thank you so much. So grateful to see your face again.
I am so proud
I
of you.
miss you so much.
I am so proud of you, and I'm so proud of how you are taking, keeping your responsibility with your family and your wife, and you're learning to appreciate devotees, even though we are a mess. We're messy, we are messy. You're appreciating the devotees. I'm just so grateful. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. I don't know what to do without you, Mother. So
Hari Bol.
thank you. Hare Krishna.
Saha Prabhu. Hari
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mother. There is a nice question, I believe, in the chat room from Elam Prabhu. And he has this beautiful question. Hare Krishna, Mother VRAJALILA, please accept my humble obeisances. Verse 30, which we are discussing, mentions that this story is Vigna Ganam, or a destroyer of obstacles. Does this mean the Lord removes the external problems in our life, or does it mean the Lord removes the internal obstacles, like the laziness or distractions that keep us from our spiritual practice? So, Prabhuji wants to find out if the Lord is the destroyer of obstacles, which obstacles does the Lord destroy? Is it external or internal? If you may help.
That's such a beautiful question.
Very beautiful question.
It's such a beautiful question, like an oxymoron in one sense, because it's like,
Yes.
well, if he removes the external, I thought material energy is dealing with that. Yeah, so that's a beautiful question. Both, though, when we turn to Krishna, when we offer ourselves in sacrifice to Krishna, when we surrender to Krishna, then Krishna actually takes us under his wing, and he protects us and he gives us shelter. So he gives us shelter from both, because Krishna is Paramatma in the heart. So when we want to do something externally, how many times we that may have happened. I know that happens to me many times. I want to do something external that I know it's not really so devotional. It's not really, it won't help me spiritually move forward. And especially when I was a younger, now too, but more so when I was new in devotional life, newer than I am now. And I would hear, don't do that. Why do you want to do that? And I'll be like, where is that coming from? So that's Krishna. He's in the heart. He's directing us all, always. There is always that voice. It's just that when we don't have purified consciousness, we don't hear the voice. And so I, for many years, did not hear the voice. For many years, I was just like, okay, my senses want to do this. Let me do it. But then the senses get purified. And when the senses get purified, then the Lord acts. We start hearing more the Lord externally. And of course, the Lord is always working with us internally because he's with us. He's there with us. The thing is, we have choices to listen and hear. We have choices to listen and hear. So that's up to us. We can get purified in a minute, both externally and internally. But we have a lot of, I speak for myself, I have a lot of material conditioning. I have a lot of external and internal conditioned desires. And so I can only pray. And like the demigods, I can only pray to the Lord, for help. And then the Lord, like he did with Haranaksha, he killed those demons. So he will kill those demons internally and externally. I want to read a prayer. This is a beautiful prayer. If I can read this prayer real quickly. It says, "O Lord of my heart, let me never lose heart. My dear Lord, the challenges that the world throw upon me can sometimes be so complicated as to be overwhelming, stupefying, and paralyzing. Just as Arjuna cast aside his bow, unwilling and unable to fight, many are the times when I have felt like casting aside my metaphorical bow, losing my will to fight against problems that seem unfair, unending, and unsolvable. Please, O Lord, bless me so that the emotion of the moment does not become the basis for decisions whose consequences extend far beyond the moment. Let me remember that however messed up things may be around me and even inside me, still, you are in charge of both the outer and the inner world. Even if I lose the will to fight a particular battle in this world, let me never lose the will to connect with you. Just as you blessed Arjuna with the wisdom to see light amidst darkness, bless me, O Lord, so that I can find shelter in your words, and let them become my guiding light when the world around me envelops me in blinding darkness. And when my own mind compounds the darkness, grant me, O Lord, I beg you, the remembrance that the light coming from you is greater than the darkness coming at me from outside and from inside. Let me not live in fear of the world's darkness, but in the hope of your light." And believe it or not, this is from a Bhagavad Gita verse that was made into a prayer. So I hope that was helpful, Prabhu. It wasn't from me. That's actually from Krishna to Arjuna.
Very beautiful. Hare Krishna.
Hari Hari.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Mother, I have a question from the verse itself. And you touched on it. It's like you were reading my mind. But I have a question on that in a different way. So if I may put it up here. This is text 30. So my question is from here. Fortunately for us, this is the demigods speaking. Fortunately for us, this demon who was a torment to the worlds has been slain by you. And we too, O Lord, are now at ease in devotion to your lotus feet. In other words, Hiranyaksha's demoniac activities, of course, was a disturbance to the entire world and a disturbance to the demigods also. And as such, it was affecting their devotion, not devotion per se, but their practice of devotional service to the Lord. And if I may bring that into our own earthly lives, what should be the mood of devotees when they are confronted with strong opposition to practicing devotional service? I recall I was little, but I recall those were the times that your humble self and few other devotees were in West Africa preaching. In 81, in Ghana, there was a very serious coup. And there was so much pandemonium where devotees, it was very difficult for devotees to go out to preach. In many places also, even as we speak, devotees are not allowed to perform devotional service. And maybe in one's own temple or one's own vicinity, he or she may be facing some superior challenges, making it difficult for him or her to practice devotional service. What should be the mood of the devotees who are affected by such challenges of being able to perform devotional service? Here, we see that the demigods are happy that Hiranyaksha has been cleared. What should be the mood of the devotees facing these challenges?
So, okay, 2 points here. Hiranyaksha was a demon. He was a serious demon, right? He wasn't a devotee. So someone that's aspiring to be a devotee may, yes, still have their ego may still be overwhelming in terms of wanting power. So there may be that even for a devotee, because devotees, remember, they are under the shelter of the Supreme Lord. But still, it's like Prabhupada explains, it's like when we become a devotee, it's like unplugging a fan. And you've heard this many times. You know, the fan is still going, even though the fan is stopped. So devotees still may be conditioned by their egos, very much so. And when we have our ego, when our egos are in the front of who we really are, which is spirit, soul, part and parcel of Krishna, servant of Krishna, when the ego just becomes so overpowered by wanting power, then the ego can create many unfortunate, disturbing, tormenting situations, even for other devotees. So that's the ego. right? That's basically a person that's acting in the mode of ignorance and passion, not anyway in goodness, because in goodness, somebody's becoming aware of their ego and how it impacts another person. What happens in such a situation is it disrupts dharma, right? It's total disruption, because it doesn't make anything stable. It doesn't create a stable situation. And devotional life is very stable. It doesn't create miseries or disturbance to other people when we're practicing dharma properly. So there's a few reasons why people get overpowered by their ego, and they make things difficult for other devotees. Now, once a devotee is aware of that, once a devotee is aware of another person's ego, and they understand this is this person's ego acting, not who they really are, then a devotee, if they can, which is not always easy, they can be compassionate for those persons because they know they're being driven by their false ego. And they may not even have awareness of that, or they may not even know how to deal with that. In other words, to address our false ego really requires giving it attention. Sometimes people think, oh, don't pay attention to your false ego. No, we got to pay attention to our false ego because it affects people's lives. And so really, it's important for every devotee, I believe, to understand within themselves, what is it that is triggering them at different points in time? What is it that's causing them disturbance? Even a person that has a lot of ego, they're acting in that way with their ego because there's something they want that they're not getting. There's a need they have that they're not getting. And so then they allow their ego to take over, right? This is their choice. When it impacts other people, then the other person, either if they can be compassionate and act on a higher level than those persons that are affected by their ego, that would be first class. However, not everybody can do that. Most people can't do that. So the second suggestion I would have for such persons is to take distance, healthy distance. We can choose our association. We can choose who we want to speak to, who we connect with, who we, have in our lives. We can choose. And that means everyone. It doesn't mean like just, ordinary day-to-day devotee. It means any devotee that is, we know they're acting out of ego and they don't seem to have any understanding of how their ego is impacting another person. We can take distance. We can take distance. Now, if it's not possible to take distance, then there is something called a blessing journal. Blessing journal, it's having a journal that you write a prayer for that person. Just keep a book or whatever you have, a journal, and sincerely write a prayer for that person. Because it's nothing maybe you could do, right? Nothing, only Krishna maybe can intervene in that situation, or maybe some other authority, which in some cases, authorities might not do that. They might not want to interfere because everyone is protective of who they are and how they want to be seen. That's another ego situation. So unfortunately, yes, devotees can be manipulated. We can be manipulated by our false ego. And the more we understand how our false ego impact other people, the more we become, I would think, closer and accepted by the Lord. And what can we do, Prabhu? This is a world of what we're living in. Even though we're devotees, we're trying. We're not yet pure. Our desires are not yet purified. And so we are existing with devotees that are, in fact, impacted by their false ego. And maybe there isn't anything we can do in terms of rectifying them because we may not have that position to do that. However, it's not like we don't have choices. I'm doing a grief workshop right now. And one of the things that we say to grievers, people that are grieving a loss of some sort, and oftentimes we grieve losses that we're not even aware of. One of the losses is grieving a loss of community. One of the losses is grieving. Sometimes somebody is in our association, they are friends, and then they become an authority. Then they take on a different mood. That's a loss because maybe those people, we value them in those roles and they valued us. But then when they take on another role, we lose them. And that's painful. It's very painful. And so how do we address those losses? It's very deep. And so sometimes we may even, have to go into denial about the situation because denial might keep us a little cushioned for some time. But then when we're ready to face it, we got to face it. We got to feel it. We got to feel this, the feeling might be anger sometimes, it may be disappointment, it may be frustration, it may be disturbance. So many feelings can come from when we experience some loss of a relationship that we know it can be better, we know it can be different. However, those persons need their own timing, we can't, Krishna's time, Krishna acts in time for everyone. So we can't force that. We can, if we can, we have the capacity to send those people love. If we have that capacity. Not always we can have that capacity. First, we got to feel the pain. First, we got to work with the pain and be with the pain before we can heal the situation. Ultimately, though, we do need to come to a time when we can heal that situation within ourselves, as that Prabhu asked, within ourselves. Because maybe externally, maybe there won't be anything we can do. Maybe we just have to be patient and wait. Just wait, because Krishna does. External energy does take care of devotees that act out of false ego. There is no doubt about it. I've seen it a million times. As we act out of our false ego and we don't pay attention to our false ego, external energy will do something. It will act. There's no doubt. Because Maya wants us, to become, especially if she knew that we had a taste to serve Krishna. Yeah, she will do everything in her power. See, Krishna consciousness is the science. And we don't often think of the science. So that's would be my suggestion. In this world, Prabhu, these are some of the things that I was wanting to share that I didn't. So right now, okay, these are how egos are affected, right? They're there in our devotee community, no doubt. But this is how it's affected, how these egos that we have. So there's climate change and global warming. We all know that. There's deforestation and habitat loss, right? There's a lot of deforestation that's going on in Africa that many people are not even aware of. There is pollution. There is overconsumption. There is biodiversity of loss. That means the world is losing species at a rate of 1,000 times higher than any time recorded in history. And then there's this nuclear war threat. It's real. It's very real. And then we talked about this, what's happening in the oceans. All this is based on ego. It's just based on ego. And so, of course, that's going to come into our communities. Of course, that ego is going to come. And so that's why purification of our desires is so important. We all have these things to some degree. And maybe not as much as those persons that are vested within it with money and all of that. But, we're a product of this society, right? We're a product of this culture. So we're a product of this material world. So the best we can do is really heal ourselves and pray for those persons if we can do that. If we can't do any of that, if we can't pray for the person, if we can't make a choice to take a distance, if we can't, perhaps if we can't acknowledge the person has a false ego and just be compassionate and just understand that, if we can't do any of that, then at least what we can do is every day we can offer whatever we do to Krishna and offer it with as much love as we can. And just do that. And Krishna will take care of the rest. Krishna will do that.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for the response to my question. You had mentioned, of course, rightly so, that Krishna never forgets whatever devotional service we once ever performed to him, or we rendered a devotional service to him. He never forgets. Yet, I also believe that there could be some danger in our pursuit of rendering of devotional service to the Lord. I have mentioned this a couple times, particularly on this platform, that there used to be one reggae artist. He's no more, but he used to be one of my favorite artists, Max Romeo. He has one song. The title is Stealing in the Name of the Lord. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has also reaffirmed the same statement, and I would like to share it here. Sorry, where is it? I would like to share it here. Says the most harmful association in the world are satsanga and religious cheaters. This was shared on Sampradaya. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, what is the most harmful association in the world? A Dharma Dwaj or Dharma Dwaji is a person who has no devotion or renunciation in his heart, but makes a show of it externally. He wears the clothes of a devotee to accomplish materialistic ends in a duplicitous manner. There is no worse association in the whole world than that of a Dharma Dwaji. One should rather associate with sense enjoyers. So, it says some of the Dharma Dwajis become gurus and others become disciples, and by trickery, they accumulate wealth, women, false prestige, and material assets. If one gives up the association of crooked hypocrites, one can honestly engage in devotional service. These are very strong words coming from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But those of us living in this present time, we can see that in different religious organizations. As we speak now, one of the easiest and the quickest way of becoming rich is becoming a preacher. I wouldn't want to mention names, but here in the US, there are many prominent evangelists who've made tons of millions of dollars, all in the name of God. But they themselves do not practice what the scriptures teach. So my question to you is that as much as we know that whatever little service we render to the Lord never goes in vain, I am also thinking that there is also a danger, just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur is warning, there is a danger that if we think that we can serve God 1 minute and the next minute we can do whatever we want just to amass wealth, then we balance out. Our devotional service will counteract the negativities. Some devotees may have such thought, such mood, and act as such. But I feel it's wrong. I used to have one godmother. Of course, she was my godsister. But she used to say that Boga plus Prashadam equals Prashadam. And therefore, she will sometimes buy Boga, not something not offered by devotee, not cooked by devotee, and then she will mix that burger with prasadam and think that she is eating prasadam, which, as I'm growing up in devotional service, I think is improper. So if a devotee has a mindset that I render service, it never goes in vain, it's always there for me, and I do something improper knowingly, and it balances out, what should be the mentality of us as devotees? Whether such a mentality is appropriate or inappropriate, if you may shed some light on this, please.
If you pull that verse back up, he answers that question, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So if you pull it back up, I will show you the answer.
Oh, okay.
So he says, there is no worse association. So he's educating us about a Dharmavaji, what that's like, right? And he's also educating us about a sense enjoyer, somebody that they're just absorbed in enjoying their senses. He said it's better to be with a person that just want to enjoy their senses than to be with someone that is acting in this way, duplicitous. They're not actually being authentic. They're not showing who they really are. He says there is no worse association to take. So the answer, he says, in this situation, he says, if one gives up the association of crooked hypocrites, one can honestly engage in devotional service. So the idea is, again, we have a choice. We give up those associations. It's not that we have to spend our time judging them. It's like, yeah, okay, they exist. But I have a choice. I don't have to accept that association. And that's Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We give it up. Give it up. It's difficult to give it up because we are consumed with thinking people are supposed to be the way we think they're supposed to be, or how we want them to be. But that's not always the case. And he's letting us know who those people are, what they look like. And he says, don't associate with such persons. That's the answer. We don't have to associate.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. I didn't realize that we've been here for that long. That is what happens when you relish in something, when you're enjoying something. You don't see how fast the time is being spent. But we've been here close to 2 hours.
Sakadashi is so wonderful day to glorify Krishna, hear about Krishna, being the association of devotees. So thank you guys so very much.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. So, dear devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute yourselves. And we all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra to express our deepest appreciation and gratitude to our beloved speaker, Her Grace VRAJALILA Devi, for sharing her love and wisdom with us, as she usually does. We may all unmute. Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpa tarabhyascha sindhubhya eva cha patitanam video vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Anatakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. All glories to Grace VRAJALILA Devi ki jai.
African Yatra ki jai.
All glories to Vaishnava Vaishnavi devotees ki jai.